Hi guys, it's Julie from Calm Belly Kitchen again, and in this video we're going to look at how you might order at an Italian restaurant post-reintroduction phase. So you've gone through the whole FODMAP diet and you've learned your trigger foods, and now you are trying to kind of just eat in the real world, and I want to show you how I would manage that. Now of course my trigger foods are not going to be the same as yours, but I'll kind of talk through it for how I would order and then how you might order if you have different triggers. So there'll be a little something for everyone. And in case you haven't figured this out, I do have kind of an ulterior motive for doing these videos. I want to show how much more variety you can have after you've learned your triggers, because you're not guessing anymore. You're not trying to keep it as low as possible. And of course, there's no such thing as no FODMAP, but trying to eliminate every possible FODMAP source is something that's hard to sustain in the long term, and that's why I encourage everyone to do the reintroduction phase. And this is sort of the difference that you can kind of experience in the real world after you've learned your triggers. Okay, so back to this menu at kind of an independent Italian restaurant. This is a place I've actually been to in Chicago. It's one that my husband and I love for like birthdays and special occasions. So I have experienced some of the really, really tasty food here. And okay, so what I could order today if I were going here, I love their pizza, and I am really lucky in that wheat is not one of my trigger foods. I can eat a pretty moderate serving of wheat and be okay. Especially white flour has lower FODMAP content than whole wheat flour, so with pizza you're kind of even better off there because it's white flour instead of whole wheat. So I would probably order, what pizza would I order? I like the clam and pancetta pizza actually, and even though it says garlic, you can just ask them to leave that off, and that's fantastic. And they do pizzas without tomato sauce if you want. So you can make your own pizza and do the white pie with olive oil and sea salt, and then just choose whatever low FODMAP toppings. You could go pancetta, which is sort of a type of Italian bacon. You can use any of those hard cheeses, as well as mozzarella, olives, egg, arugula. I would probably skip the sausage because I am sensitive to garlic. Onion I'm moderately sensitive to, but garlic is what I really try to avoid, except in very tiny amounts. So a make your own pizza would be a great option. At a place like this, most of the times the sauce is going to be pre-made. You know, it's tomato sauce. They can't take the garlic out once it's in there. So if you're really sensitive to onion and garlic, avoiding the red sauce would probably be a good idea. Now, if it's fresh tomatoes, or we talked about in the Maggiano's video, sort of a fresh pomodoro sauce, that's kind of a different story. That's more like made to order. Okay, so I might get pizza, but let's say I wanted to get appetizers. I would order the burrata di panna. Now, we talked about in the other video how burrata is a fresh cheese, and so it's probably higher in lactose than a hard cheese. But I am only moderately sensitive to lactose. I can handle a little bit. I have to be careful, but a few bites of burrata, which is really all you need, would be great, and the bread is not a problem. The spiced olives, those are gonna have some garlic in the marinade, and because I love olives, I might actually eat a few of those because I'm not gonna eat a chunk of garlic, and just that small amount, something where there's a garlic clove in the marinade, isn't going to affect me. And that's what you sort of learn, the level that you can tolerate even trigger foods when you do the reintroduction process. You really learn so much information about how you can eat in the real world. Okay, I would avoid the pickled cherry bruschetta because fructose and I don't get along so well. Although that sounds like a great dish. I would definitely order the chicken liver mousse. I would kind of scrape off the delicious onion topping because I try to avoid too many onions, but whatever the small amount of onion they might put in the mousse would be fine for me. I would definitely order the octopus. I love grilled octopus. And I kind of talked through some of these in the previous video. If you haven't watched that yet, kind of give it a watch. These are nice companion videos. And with meatballs, you know, those are going to be made beforehand. The meat will be seasoned beforehand, so that's likely to have some garlic in it. So depending on your garlic tolerance, the meatballs would probably be an option. Pomodoros, that's like a fresh tomato topping. Pecorino and pine nuts, that would be pretty good. That's a decent option. So almost all of these are options now once you sort of have a handle on your triggers and how much of your triggers you can handle. let me see here. The salads, arugula salad, that would be great. The charred lettuce, I talked about that before. I would definitely order that. Okay, watermelon salad is the only one here that I definitely avoid because watermelon falls into the fructose, oligo, and polyol category to varying degrees. And honestly, fruit in general for me is kind of a problem. If there's anything that's really gonna set me off, it's too much fruit and veggies, especially fruit. So if I'm going out, I don't need to add more fruit into the mix. Okay, so for the hearth category, I would order any of the first three options. I would avoid the marinated flank steak with beets and lemon verbena because unless I really wanted a steak and I could, get it, I could ask about the marinade, I could ask them to sub out the beets, and if they would do that, then it would be great. But beets are in the oligo category, and that kind of goes into the fruit veggie FODMAP category for me, so I would avoid that. Now, some of you are not going to have as big of an issue with fruits and vegetables, especially when they're cooked versus raw. Sometimes that's easier for a lot of people. So that could be an option for you. Okay, when it comes to pastas, some of these might be an option. Now, the potato gnocchi, even if you are a little bit sensitive to wheat, this will be made with some regular wheat flour, but primarily potato, it's potato gnocchi. And you could either have it without garlic scapes, that's just a type of wild garlic. They could probably do a version without that for you. I'm assuming that's gonna be cooked to order. Or if you're fine with garlic, then you're good to go. Sweet corn agnolotti. Now, corn in a reasonable serving, that can be low FODMAP, or maybe you're going to be just fine with corn. Arugula pesto, that'll have garlic, but not too much because they use raw garlic, and if they put tons and tons of raw garlic in their pesto, you're not going to ever want to come back again. So that could be an option for you. Let's see here. The orecchiette with kale. I would avoid the ricotta cavatelli. Arrabbiata sauce is a spicy tomato sauce, and that's probably going to be made in advance, more of a slow cook sauce with onion and garlic in it. And ricotta is moderately high FODMAP for a cheese, so it's not as low lactose as most cheeses are. And here's a good hack. If you are kind of sensitive to wheat, the pork ragu. So I would order that over a side of polenta because polenta, of course, is made from corn that's low FODMAP, cornmeal. And so that's a great way to eat a nice meaty sauce like that, and kind of a traditional way to eat it too in Italian cuisine. I personally, of all of these, I would absolutely order the tagliolini nero, and I have. And this just looks like black spaghetti, which makes it kind of fun. And it's black because it's made with squid ink. So with crab, sea urchin, and mint. And that's actually really low on the FODMAPs. Of course, with the exception of the wheat from the pasta. So for the sides, I would order any of these besides the cipollini gratinato, and that's just basically a big, delicious, creamy baked dish of onions, and I just don't need that many onions in my life, okay? So those would be my my options here now that I know my triggers and I know the levels that I can tolerate my triggers. So I hope this video was helpful for you, even if you have different triggers than me, but it just shows that, from every section of the menu, there are options, and there's just, a lot more flexibility and wiggle room that you have when you aren't just guessing, all right? So I hope you enjoyed all these videos, and I will talk to you soon.